Thank you very much. Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you and the ranking member for calling this important hearing. Mr. Chairman, this morning I was on a TV show, as I'm sure many members of this committee were, and I was asked by the interviewer whether I thought this committee was grandstanding, whether in fact we were using the fame of these outstanding athletes to get our names in the paper and so forth. And I said I didn't think so, because I thought this was a hugely important issue impacting millions of young people. And that's what I believe. But I do want to say that I am overwhelmed by the kind of media attention that this has gotten. I have counted dozens of TV cameras. And I think some of the American people wonder, is this all we do? Because this is what they see on television. So I want to say to our media friends that when some of us talk about the collapse of our health care system and millions of people not having any health insurance, come and join us. And we talk about the United States having the highest rate of childhood poverty in the industrialized world at a time when the rich are going richer. Come on down. Now, maybe we may have to bring great baseball players to help us talk about childhood poverty. I don't know. I would hope not. I'd hope we could have some of the great experts, and I would hope you would come. But to the American people, some of us are dealing with other issues as well. In terms of this issue, I have a couple of questions that I would like to ask our guests. I have heard a discrepancy of opinion about the seriousness of the problem. Mr. Canseco says it's rampant, everybody knows it, virtually lots of people are doing it. Mr. Schilling says he's not so sure. He doesn't really think it is a terribly serious problem, and I think Mr. PALMEIRO has agreed with Mr. Schilling. So let me start off, and I know this is a hard one. Are we talking about 1% of players, to your judgment, doing it? Are we talking about 5%, 10%? Is Mr. Canseco the only player in the world to have done this? Mr. Schilling?
No, I don't think he is the only player. I think he's a liar. I think that what he did was grossly overstate a situation to make himself not look as bad.
What would you be your guess in terms of percentage?
You know what? I took an oath. I swore to tell the truth here today. In 19 years in the big leagues, I have never seen a syringe other than one prescribed by a doctor to a player. I have never seen steroids.
But in locker room gossip, you may not have seen it. People talk, right? This guy's doing something, that guy's doing something. I don't need names. What's your guess? You've heard people saying that somebody is doing it.
Absolutely. There's discussion about other guys on other teams. I would say the percentage is on or around where it's been tested at. I don't think it's much higher. I think it's again, I'm in a locker. I've been with 6 different teams. I play with over thousands of players. I've guessed that maybe 5 to 10 of my teammates in the last 15 years were using.
Five in the last 15 years?
Maybe. 5 to 10 at most. I wouldn't know anymore.
Okay. Mr. PALMEIRO, Mr. Schilling says he would guess maybe 5 or 10 players in the many years he's been in the majors. What do you guess?
I wouldn't know. I couldn't take a guess. I just think as long as even 1% is too high, that's way too high. We need to make sure it's 0%.
Mr. McGwire, would you like to speculate?
I wouldn't know, but there's a big reason why we're here today to talk about it.
Okay. Mr. Sosa, what's your guess?
I won't know. I really...
Mr. Canseco?
I guess I'd say Mr. Schilling is correct about today's statistics on how many people are using steroids, because we've made steroids aware. We've brought it out. This book came out, scared a lot of individuals. If they were using steroids when this book came out, they cold stopped.
So you're suggesting that it went from wide prevalence down to what Mr. Schilling is saying, almost nothing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, when I mentioned the 80%, I mentioned at the peak of steroid use. That may have been somewhere from 94 on to the year 2000. That's when I played.
Okay.
I've been retired for, I guess, 3 or 4 years now. It's been a long time. But because of certain instances that have happened, it's definitely curtailed greatly, yes.
Okay. Let me ask the last question. I appreciate all of your efforts, and you're willing to stand up for the kids of America, that you know your role models, you know that steroids are bad, and you want to do everything you can to prevent kids from emulating bad habits. My question is this: if the major leagues does not come forth with an aggressive policy, and I think what you're hearing today is we are not overly impressed by what the major leagues have done, will you come back in a year from now and say, members of Congress, we support you in passing federal legislation to tell the major leagues that they have got to be aggressive and pass strong and stringent requirements? In other words, will you come back and tell us to do that? Mr. Schilling?
You know, I'm not sure I can answer that. I mean, we are in support of a stronger system that eradicates the use of steroids by
But if
players.
the majors don't do anything, if the league doesn't do anything, are you going to come back if we ask you to come back?
That's a hypothetical I don't believe is going to happen.
You sound like a politician there, watch it. Mr. Palmeiro?
Hey, Bernie,
I'm in
he's a
agreement with,
Republican. You better not encourage him.
That's right.
I'm in agreement with Curt. You know, I don't think it's going to happen, but, you know, if
You
it-
think the league is going to do the right thing?
I believe so, but if it doesn't, I would be more than happy to come back and let's address the problem
Mr.
again.
Mark McGwire, will you come back and join us?
Well, I have no idea. Being a retired player, I have no idea what the policy is, but if you'd like me back, sure.
Okay. Mr. Sosa?
Yes, I believe that, you know, Major League Baseball is going to do something, no question. If you have to come back here, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Canseco?
I think it'd be a major mistake to let the league police itself. No ifs and buts about it. We'll be back here quicker than quick.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Mr. Dent.